Well, I thought we'd reach back a little bit. During the Challenger disaster, Ronald Reagan spoke. He spoke for less than 4 minutes. Back on January 28, 1986. Here's what he said. Cut one, go.
Today is a day for mourning and remembering. Nancy and I are pained to the core by the tragedy of the Shuttle Challenger. We know we share this pain with all of the people of our country. This is truly a national loss. 19 years ago, almost to the day, we lost 3 astronauts in a terrible accident on the ground. But we've never lost an astronaut in flight. We've never had a tragedy like this. And perhaps we've forgotten the courage it took for the crew of the shuttle. But they, the Challenger 7, were aware of the dangers, but overcame them and did their jobs brilliantly. We mourn 7 heroes: Michael Smith, Dick Scobie, Judith Resnick, Ronald McNair, Ellison Onizuka, Gregory Jarvis, and Krista McAuliffe. We mourn their loss as a nation together. The families of the 7, we cannot bear, as you do, the full impact of this tragedy. But we feel the loss, and we're thinking about you so very much. Your loved ones were daring and brave, and they had that special grace, that special spirit that says, give me a challenge, and I'll meet it with joy. They had a hunger to explore the universe and discover its truths. They wished to serve, and they did. They served all of us. We've grown used to wonders in this century. It's hard to dazzle us. But for 25 years, the United States space program has been doing just that. We've grown used to the idea of space, and perhaps we forget that we've only just begun. We're still pioneers. They, the members of the Challenger crew, were pioneers. And I want to say something to the school children of America who were watching the live coverage of the shuttle's takeoff. I know it's hard to understand, but sometimes painful things like this happen. It's all part of the process of exploration and discovery. It's all part of taking a chance and expanding man's horizons. The future doesn't belong to the faint-hearted. It belongs to the brave. The Challenger crew was pulling us into the future, and we'll continue to follow them. I've always had great faith in and respect for our space program. And what happened today does nothing to diminish it. We don't hide our space program. We don't keep secrets and cover things up. We do it all up front and in public. That's the way freedom is, and we wouldn't change it for a minute. We'll continue our quest in space. There will be more shuttle flights and more shuttle crews, and yes, more volunteers, more civilians, more teachers in space. Nothing ends here. Our hopes and our journeys continue. I want to add that I wish I could talk to every man and woman who works for NASA or who worked on this mission and tell them your dedication and professionalism have moved and impressed us for decades, and we know of your anguish. We share it. There's a coincidence today. On this day, 390 years ago, the great explorer Sir Francis Drake died aboard ship off the coast of Panama. In his lifetime, the great frontiers were the oceans, and a historian later said he lived by the sea, died on it, and was buried in it. Well, today, we can say of the Challenger crew, their dedication was, like Drake's, complete. The crew of the Space Shuttle Challenger honored us for the manner in which they lived their lives. We will never forget them, nor the last time we saw them, this morning, as they prepared for their journey and waved goodbye and slipped the surly bonds of earth to touch the face of God. Thank you.
You see, there's a reason why that speech has gone down in history and is forever remembered. Given from the heart, soulful, no politics, not even close. No cheering, no huge auditorium, none of it. No T-shirts, none of it. I felt like Obama in the first part of the speech that we listened to together on this program was doing that. That is, speaking to the families, the victims, the heroes. And then came the second part of the speech, which I thought was completely inappropriate and ill-timed. It was something he should have said, and he could have said it earlier in a different forum, but he didn't. He didn't. Now, all through his vacation in Hawaii, his staff were telling the media, and the media were telling us that Obama was studying Reagan. Well, there, I just helped them. But also, Obama has said things and done things that Reagan would never say or do. We'll do this one more time, and then I'm going to move on. Reagan never spoke like this. Cut 8, go.
I want you to talk to them whether they're independent or whether they are Republican. I want you to argue with them and get in their face. I don't want to quell anger. I think people are right to be angry. I'm angry. What I want us to do, though, is channel our anger in a constructive way.
If Latinos sit out the election, instead of saying we're going to punish our enemies and we're going to reward our friends who stand with us on issues that are important to us.
If I can describe it as not a blanket indictment of the Republican Party, but instead describe it as the Republican Party having been kidnapped by a incompetent, highly ideological subset of the Republican Party.
We shouldn't let America's small businesses be held hostage to partisan politics, and certainly not at this critical time.
All right, that's enough. There's more. I'm not going to get into it. But those of us who campaigned for Reagan and worked for Reagan, we didn't have to hang on his every speech and hope he was presidential. We didn't have to hang on his every speech and hope he acted presidential. Because he was presidential, and he acted presidential.